Hello, darling. That's right. It's little old me, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, here to invite you to join me for a little snack. And Monster Mania. Yes, it's a look at some of the most exciting classic movie monsters of all time with Jack Palance. I mean, not that Jack is one of the monsters. He's actually the host. But you have to admit, he is pretty scary. I mean, what is it with those one-arm push-ups anyway? Like, big deal. I mean, one of the guys in this show could probably do push-ups with all 6 of his arms. Okay, now let's see. Have I got what I need here? Got popcorn, got my cookies, 4 bottles of pop, and a couple bags of Senor Raleigh's hot tamales. Yep, looks like I've got everything. Now I just wish that pizza delivery boy would get here. Yum, yum. Guess if we get hungry later, we could always eat the pizza. Oh, look, darling, the movie's about to begin. Cuddle up with your popcorn and spread some butter on the one you love, because here comes Monster Mania.
The flutter of bats, the clap of thunder, the thud of earth upon a freshly dug grave. These are the sights and sounds of terror. Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde. For as long as we have been afraid of the dark, we have filled it with monsters. They have inspired countless books and plays, what some would call works of fiction. Yet it has only been in the past 100 years, through the miracle of motion pictures, that mankind has given a face to its fear. Ironically, it was Thomas Edison, one of the men responsible for inventing the movies, who created the screen's first genuine movie monster. Even before movies could talk, audiences had learned how to scream. Based on Mary Shelley's 19th century novel about a medical student who creates a living corpse, Frankenstein frightened early cinema audiences out of their seats. Though it ran just over 10 minutes, Edison's Frankenstein proved that moviegoers had an appetite for terror, and early filmmakers scoured bookshelves for other strange and eerie ideas. Perhaps the most popular of all the early screen monsters was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Based on the novel by Robert Louis Stevenson, the tale of a scientist who seeks to liberate his evil nature was filmed no less than 7 times by 1920. Seen here is the most popular silent version, starring John Barrymore.
Famous for his dashing good looks and classic profile, Barrymore donned a skull cap, false teeth, and artificial fingers in order to transform kindly Dr. Jekyll into the personification of evil. Another classic screen monster to emerge in silent film was Dracula. Produced in Germany in 1922, Nosferatu offered this thinly veiled version of Bram Stoker's blood-sucking Count. Directed by F.W. Murnau and starring Max Schreck, the film remained surprisingly faithful to the original novel, despite legal restrictions which forced the filmmakers to avoid using the Dracula name. More rodent than Romeo, Shrek's screen vampire offered a disturbing characterization, devoid of humanity or pathos. But of all the actors who sacrificed good looks for screen chills, one of the best was surely the great Lon Chaney. Famous for creating elaborate and often painful makeups, Chaney specialized in playing grotesque and macabre figures. Dubbed the Man of 1,000 Faces, Chaney played everything from scar-faced gangsters to deformed cripples. But one of his greatest roles was the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Released by Universal Pictures in 1923, The Hunchback of Notre Dame featured lavish production values and a cast of thousands. But most impressive was Chaney as the love-struck Quasimodo. Although leather harnesses restricted his movement and he sweated beneath pounds of makeup, Chaney imbued his deformed bell ringer with a complexity of character not seen in earlier screen monsters. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was an unprecedented hit, and Lon Chaney became the screen's first horror superstar. Equally effective was Chaney's performance in The Phantom of the Opera as Eric, the mask-wearing madman whose obsessive love turns to murder. Chaney's famous unmasking scene created one of the great screen moments and revealed one of the great screen monsters of all time.
But with the age of sound came a new dimension in horror and a new voice for monsters.
I am Dracula.
Starring the Hungarian-born Bela Lugosi as the undead aristocrat, Universal Pictures presented Dracula as their first all-talking supernatural thriller.
A moment ago, I stumbled upon a most amazing phenomenon. Something so incredible, I mistrust my own judgment. Look.
This is Dracula, the original terrifying story of a maniac and a man who lived after death, lived on human blood, took the form of a vampire bat, and lured innocent girls to a fate truly worse than death.
Dracula? Oh, what's he done to you, dearie? Tell me.
He came to me. He opened a vein in his arm, and he made me drink.
Unlike Max Schreck's more gothic interpretation, Lugosi's Dracula offered sex appeal and a dash of continental charm. It didn't hurt that Lugosi had created the role on Broadway and had been born and raised in the real-life shadows of Transylvania. Released on Valentine's Day 1931, Dracula was billed as the strangest love story ever told and quickly became a box office success. Wasting no time, Universal announced plans to feature Lugosi in yet another gothic horror role as the monster in Frankenstein. But after Bela balked at a part which required no dialogue, the project's new director, James Whale, scouted around for a suitable replacement. Who he found was a 43-year-old actor named Boris Karloff.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
This is the story you've heard about, talked about, the spine-tingling, blood-chilling story that stuns your emotions. Frankenstein.
Don't touch that!
With imagery inspired by German expressionist films like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and The Golem, Frankenstein offered spectacular visuals and genuine thrills. Frankenstein was an even bigger success than Dracula, and out of the ashes of the film's fiery climax, the Universal monster movie was born. In rapid succession came other classic creatures like the Mummy.
Is it dead or alive? You'll feel the awful, creeping, crawling terror that brings a scream to your lips.
The Invisible Man, and the Werewolf. There was even
Dracula! He's come back!
Dracula's daughter,
Do you like jewels, Lily?
This is very old and very beautiful. Please don't come any closer.
Frankenstein's bride and his son. The success of these Universal monsters inspired rival studios to keep up.
You're convinced that the thing on this table isn't human?
Its cries are human.
Do you know what it is, what I began with?
No.
An animal.
Yeah, this is Peter Lorre speaking.
I couldn't resist the temptation to call you. I just read of your new picture that you're to make.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks for your interest.
What character are you going to play in?
Oh, it's the most unusual story. You know, it's a great love drama. I am to be a half-mad scientist. I, a poor peasant, have conquered science. Why can't I conquer love? He shall be shut up when it's I who am mad. But nobody knows that. Yes. Each man kills the thing he loves.
Paramount Pictures offered a lavish remake of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Starring Frederick March, it became the first horror film to earn an Academy Award for the year's Best Actor.
Dr. Jekyll, seeking man's salvation in the taboos of the unnatural, finding Mr. Hyde.
It also featured the most impressive transformation scene ever achieved up to that time, using a combination of colored lighting and contrasting makeup. Director Ruben Mamoulian kept the unique process a secret until his death in 1987. Other notable offerings during this period were King Kong, about a 50-foot gorilla who terrorizes Manhattan. Dr. Cyclops, as a mad scientist who shrinks his victims to microscopic size.
What are you going to do?
As you and your fellows develop toward normal size, you will again interfere with my work. And that is something which I cannot permit.
And Mark of the Vampire.
Let no one leave. Move on at your peril. We will not stop until we have discovered the vampires who seek the life of this beautiful girl and her lover. Watch out! They may be hovering over you, or you, or you!
With Bela Lugosi as a counterfeit vampire in an atmospheric murder mystery.
You shall be judges of this eerie conspiracy.
But by the end of the 1930s, the Second World War was raging. Adolf Hitler was terrorizing Europe, and adult audiences felt that make-believe monsters were little more than child's play.
Pentagram, Wolfbane. Oh, I'm sick of the whole thing. I'm going to get out of here.
Whoever is bitten by a werewolf and lives becomes a werewolf himself.
Oh, quit handing me that. You're just wasting your time.
Released in 1941, The Wolfman attempted to jumpstart Universal's now dormant monster cycle. Starring Lon Chaney Jr., the story offered a strong ensemble cast that included Claude Rains, Ralph Bellamy, Bela Lugosi, and one of the scariest and hairiest movie monsters of all time. The Wolfman's box office success led to a revival of other screen monsters like The Mummy, Frankenstein's Monster, Dracula, and The Invisible Man.
Andreas.
You have no power over me. That was ended many years ago. I'm no longer your slave.
You're a fool, Andreas, a complete, utter fool. Your fate is to be what you are, as mine is to be what I am, your master. Come here.
I won't.
Look at me, Andreas. Andreas, come here.
Master, you have come back.
Even The Phantom of the Opera returned as a lavish Technicolor remake.
Here is all you've ever wanted in entertainment in one superb show. Here is matchless story, suspenseful, terrifying, never so thrillingly presented. Starring Nelson Eddy in his most vigorous performance, lovely Susanna Foster, and Claude Rains in the most coveted role of the year as the Phantom of the Opera.
My music! You've stolen it! You've stolen my music!
But when Universal resorted to combining their classic monsters in a series of low-budget thrillers, it seemed audiences and the monsters were getting a little tired.
Last night I killed a man.
You didn't know what you were doing.
I'm going to give that brain of yours a new home in the skull of the Frankenstein monster.
As if trying to squeeze the last chills out of their classic creatures, Universal teamed them again, this time with resident screen clowns Bud Abbott and Lou Costello.
Count Dracula sleeps in this coffin, but rises every night at sunset. Chick is right. This is awful silly stuff.
Intended as a spoof of the 1930s horror films, Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein provided a fitting last hurrah. A surprise blockbuster, it benefited from a good script and a tour de force performance by Bela Lugosi as Dracula.
But by the end of the decade, once proud monsters like Frankenstein, Dracula, the Mummy, and the Wolfman no longer haunted our dreams. The 1950s ushered in the atomic age, and Gothic horrors became a thing of the past.
With new technology came new terrors. Aliens and robots upstaged their Gothic brethren. There were strange men from Planet X. Invaders from Mars.
Invaders from Mars. Weird, fantastic beings of a superintelligence, capturing humans at will for their own sinister purposes.
Monsters now had names like The Thing, The Blob, and It.
What was it? Where did it come from?
Yes, it came from outer space.
There were giant prehistoric beasts. And creatures from black lagoons. There were giant insects. Giant people.
The colossal man is loose in Los Angeles.
And even giant brains.
This could be the beginning of the end for the human race.
In the paranoid period of the Cold War 50s, monsters usually came from other worlds and often attacked from within.
Listen to me. Please, listen. If you don't, if you won't, if you fail to understand, then the same incredible terror that's menacing me will strike at you!
A cursed, dreadful, malevolent thing was happening to those he loved.
Miles, where do they come from?
I don't know.
Suddenly, while you're asleep, they'll absorb your minds, your memories.
I don't want any part of it.
You're forgetting something, Miles.
What's that?
You have no choice.
Already! You're next!
But although films like Invasion of the Body Snatchers offered genuine thrills, science fiction monsters of the 1950s were often more lowbrow than high-tech. Fortunately, lovers of classic movie monsters were about to get a treat in the form of yet another marvel of the atomic age: television.
The release of classic fright films to the small screen introduced Frankenstein, Dracula, The Wolfman, and The Mummy to a new generation of younger viewers. Late-night horror movies were often hosted by hip ghouls like Vampira and Zachary. Monster magazines like Famous Monsters of Filmland haunted newsstands. And stars like Boris Karloff, Lon Chaney Jr., and Bela Lugosi could once again bask in the moonlight.
The one, the only, king of monsters. Boris Karloff as Frankenstein, 1970, carrying on the hideous experiments of his infamous ancestor.
This gets you some eyes.
To unleash a horror beyond all imagination.
Lon Chaney as the hook-armed, hate-maddened Cajun.
I'll kill you, alligator man! Just like I'd kill any four-legged gator!
You will be soon as big as a giant, or like all the others, dead.
Drive-in audiences flocked to see teenage Frankensteins and teenage werewolves. And a British film company named Hammer revived the classic monster characters with a vengeance. With the release of The Curse of Frankenstein in 1957, a whole new era in screen monsters was born.
In the year 1860, I, Baron Frankenstein, was sentenced to death on the guillotine. Why? Why had the world condemned me? Because I was the first man to create another living being.
Directed by Terence Fisher, it starred Peter Cushing and Christopher Lee. Although the story owed more to Mary Shelley than James Whale, it stuck pretty close to traditional formulas. But this time, the formula had some new ingredients. There was color, and there was lots of blood.
Dr. Stein!
The film's success led to a follow-up in the form of Horror of Dracula.
This is not Lucy, the sister you loved. It's only a shell, possessed and corrupted by the evil of Dracula.
Oh, you must help me. You must. You're my only hope. You must.
I'll help you. I promise.
How do you destroy a fiend who has so far proven himself indestructible? Those who come to end his reign of terror stay to become his victims.
By now, Cushing and Lee were the new kings of horror. Hammer Films became a monster-making machine. There was an all-new Wolfman.
The full moon that turned an innocent man into a savage beast.
A new Mummy.
The Mummy, the living dead, bringing terror and death across 4,000 years.
He who robs the graves of Egypt dies.
Phantom.
Who was this phantom plotting and scheming behind so grotesque a mask? The thundering organ, his throne of doom. The empty theater, his altar of death. What evil fascination did beauty hold for this beast?
During the pop art period of the 1960s, Frankenstein's monster spawned a monster mash of merchandising.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash.
There were do-it-yourself monster models, monster games, monster dolls. There was even monster bubble bath.
For my electrode.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
They did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
They did the mash.
They did the monster mash.
1964 saw primetime incarnations of classic monsters in the form of lovable TV monsters.
This is my father. He hangs pictures, helps Grandpa experiment, helps Mommy with the cleaning. Where does he get his go? From me. I lend him my Cheerios.
The Addams Family also offered a witch's brew of ghoulish charm.
Once each week, the Addams Family open their home and invite you to join their Addams world. They're always cooking up something special. So drop in and see the Addams Family.
For those who preferred their chills straight up, Vincent Price obliged in big screen versions of Edgar Allan Poe tales like The House of Usher.
You
buried your own sister alive? I did. But she's dead now.
The Pit and the Pendulum.
Do you know where you are, Bartholomew? You are about to enter hell.
And the Mask of the Red Death.
I want to help save your soul so you can join me in the glories of hell.
No, never.
Each man creates his own heaven, his own hell.
Let me see your face.
But for serious scares, audiences needed to look no further than Alfred Hitchcock, a master of suspense. And classic movie monsters couldn't hold a torch to realistic killers like Norman Bates. Other deadly serious practitioners of the horror film included Mario Bava, whose film Black Sunday offered nightmarish new twists to the vampire myth.
This is the latest disclosure in a report from National Civil Defense Headquarters in Washington. It has been established that persons who have recently died have been returning to life and committing acts of murder. A widespread investigation of reports from funeral homes, morgues, and hospitals has concluded that the unburied dead are coming back to life and seeking human victims. It's hard for us here to believe what we're reporting to you, but it does seem to be a fact.
Another new era in the monster film was initiated by George Romero, whose cannibalistic zombies in the Night of the Living Dead gave a whole new meaning to the phrase, chewing up the scenery.
As the psychedelic 60s drew to a close, audiences seemed to have an inexhaustible appetite for screen violence. And the bloodier, the better. Monsters were no longer found in our dreams or inside ourselves, but all around us in the form of government conspiracies and ecological disasters.
The last man on Earth always carries an automatic weapon. The last man on Earth is hunting. Because the last man on Earth is not alone.
Films like The Omega Man, starring Charlton Heston, played upon the audience's growing mistrust of the establishment.
Got any more questions, fathead?
My name's Robert.
Your name's Mud.
Its post-apocalyptic premise suggested that even vampires could exist in the modern age as the byproduct of deadly biological warfare.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness.
Warfare of a different kind was the subject of The Exorcist. Starring Ellen Burstyn, it concerned a suburban mother who fights to free her daughter from demonic possession. With groundbreaking makeup effects by the legendary Dick Smith and a startling performance by 13-year-old Linda Blair, The Exorcist caused a sensation, and audiences stood in line for hours waiting to be scared out of their wits. Satan was also featured in The Omen, in the form of a small, seemingly innocent child named Damien.
David! David! No, 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 no!
Monsters could now be found anywhere and everywhere.
Where your nightmares end, Willard begins.
They could be rodents.
No, right!
They could be dolls.
Asylum, the prison of madness, where few enter and none return.
They could come dressed as Santa Claus. Or emerge from the depths of the sea.
It lives to kill. A mindless, eating machine. It will attack and devour anything. It is as if God created the devil and gave him jaws.
Directed by Steven Spielberg, Jaws made a monster out of a 24-foot mechanical shark named Bruce.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
When it was released in 1975, reports of shark sightings increased more than 400%, and a generation of swimmers became afraid to go near the water.
None of man's fantasies of evil can compare with the reality of Jaws.
Of course, classic monsters also continued to terrify.
Julia, do you believe in the existence of vampires?
You're not really serious.
But he is, Julia. Carolyn didn't believe in vampires either. Now she is one.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Based on a phenomenally successful daytime drama, House of Dark Shadows proved that nothing can keep a good vampire down. Nothing. Except a good old-fashioned stake through the heart. Another variation on the classic vampire tale was Blackula, starring William Marshall as the undead count. Monsters were bigger, bloodier, and sexier than ever. Dr. Jekyll now transformed into Sister Hyde.
This is the new Dr. Jekyll, the most evil woman you'll ever see. This is the sensuous Sister Hyde, the most evil man you'll ever meet. Dr. Jekyll, Sister Hyde, man or woman or both.
The Phantom of the Opera haunted rock concerts. And Frankenstein was now X-rated, courtesy of Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol's Frankenstein is here.
Kiss him.
The goriest, sexiest, and wildest Frankenstein ever filmed.
Let's get out of here.
For God's sake, keep a grip on yourself, Janet.
But it seems so unhealthy here.
It's just a party, Janet.
Well, I want to go.
Well, we can't go anywhere till I get to a phone.
Look, I'm cold, I'm wet, and I'm just plain scared.
I'm here. There's nothing to worry about.
Undoubtedly one of the most bizarre and most popular of the classic monster send-ups was the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.
starring Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick, and the irrepressible Tim Curry as Dr. Frank N. Furter, the film did for classic monsters what Abbott and Costello never could.
So, come up to the lab and see what's on the slab. I see you shiver with anticipation.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show became a cult classic and continued to haunt midnight matinees for decades after its release.
Rocky!
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Another spoof of the screen's classic monsters came in the form of Young Frankenstein. Directed by Mel Brooks, the film starred Gene Wilder.
That's Frankenstein.
Terry Garr. Cloris Leachman.
I am Frau Blucher.
Marty Feldman.
Blucher!
Gene Hackman.
Cigars.
Peter Boyle.
Wow!
And Madeline Kahn.
If you're blue and you don't know where to go to, why don't you go where fashion sits? Dressed up like $1 million trooper, trying mighty hard to look like Gary Cooper. Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their midst.
Played strictly for laughs, the film became one of the year's most electrifying hits.
He was my boyfriend!
But as Frankenstein was being played for laughs, Dracula could still be played for thrills. Actor Frank Langella caused a sensation on Broadway when he starred in a revival of the play that made Bela Lugosi a star.
I am the last of my kind, descended from a conquering race. My family was its heart's blood, its brains, its swords. But the warlike days are over.
At any rate, it's not healthy to live in the past.
No, it isn't. Jonathan Harker tells me you speak some Romanian.
Oh, hardly. I know
Mea
what to...
plăcea să te văd sunti. There, you do understand.
Really, I have no idea what you said.
I said it would be nice to see you smile.
Giving a more sexual than sinister interpretation, Langella brought his performance to the screen in a lavish production, co-starring Sir Laurence Olivier as the intrepid Dr. Van Helsing.
Your will is strong.
Sacrilege!
But equally intriguing was this color remake of Nosferatu, directed by Werner Herzog and starring Klaus Kinski and Isabelle Adjani.
Nosferatu, the undead, he who drinketh the blood of his victims and turns them as well into phantoms of the night. Abandon all hope. he whom he doth approach. Yet, though the vampire be an unnatural being, he must obey some natural laws. The sign of the cross bans him. A consecrated host can bar his retreat. And should a woman pure of heart make him forget the cry of the cock, the first light of day will destroy him.
But by the end of the decade, classic monsters were once again passé. The success of films like Star Wars and Close Encounters of the Third Kind had caused a boom in science fiction films, and now there were new, more technologically based creatures ready to leap from the screen. Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, offered a creature that was part animal, part machine, and 100% deadly. Designed by H.R. Giger, the film's biomechanical beasts helped redefine the horror genre and created a whole new generation of movie monsters. Predator offered a twist on the alien theme by giving its creatures sophisticated weapons and deadly defenses. Equally deadly was The Fly, a high-tech remake of the 50s sci-fi classic starring Jeff Goldblum.
Help me. Help me to be human.
But if modern-day monsters could come from outer space or out of a test tube, they could also come from right next door. Like Psycho before it, Halloween offered more screams per minute than most any other monster movie. Directed by John Carpenter and starring Jamie Lee Curtis, it ushered in the age of the so-called slasher film. Throughout the 1980s, films like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street picked up where Halloween left off. Modern-day monsters now had names like Jason and Freddy, and the success of these films gave rise to a new, more violent subgenre. Explicit horror magazines chased benign offerings like Famous Monsters of Filmland off the newsstands, and classic monsters like Frankenstein and Dracula retreated into the shadows once more. But not for long.
Welcome to my home.
Count Dracula?
I am Dracula. And I bid you welcome, Mr. Harker, to my house. Come in.
Produced and directed by Francis Ford Coppola, Bram Stoker's Dracula offered a stylish return to the atmospheric frights of the silent era.
Take care how you cut yourself. It is more dangerous than you think. A foul bone of men's vanity. Perhaps you should grow a beard.
But even though it stayed fairly faithful to the original novel, Bram Stoker's Dracula nonetheless featured spectacular special effects, startling makeups, and offered a complex psychological interpretation of the cape-clad vampire.
Give me peace.
With its all-star cast and rich production values, Bram Stoker's Dracula became a hit with both critics and audiences. And during the next decade, Hollywood rushed to remake nearly all the classic creature films. Directed by Kenneth Branagh, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein attempted to prove that the box office lightning of Dracula could strike twice. And the monster, as played by Robert De Niro, was the most faithful of all previous screen interpretations. Wolf, starring Jack Nicholson and Michelle Pfeiffer, offered a contemporary treatment of the werewolf legend. And Mary Riley, starring Julia Roberts, provided a female perspective on Jekyll and Hyde. It seemed the classic monsters were once again back in style. They were on Broadway, on video, in theme parks, and even on postage stamps. Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy had returned from their graves to frighten the wits out of a new generation. They proved that even in the age of technological wonders and special effects, you just can't keep a good monster buried for long. But what is it about these misunderstood creatures that has us begging for more? Dracula preys upon our anxieties about sex, disease, and death. Frankenstein provokes unanswerable questions about the origins of life and the existence of God. And the werewolf and Dr. Jekyll cause us to examine human nature's more violent side. Creatures of the night scare us because, in a way, they are us. They represent the secret anxieties and nightmares we have about ourselves. For the past 100 years, each new generation has defined its own monsters and given shocking new faces to its own fear. But what of the future? Can we predict what cinematic nightmares lie ahead? I wouldn't worry about it. Instead, I'd suggest you just sit back, relax, and keep telling yourself it's only a movie.
Oh boy. Watching those scary movies must not have agreed with me. Thanks a lot, Jack. Probably gonna have nightmares now. If I'm lucky. See you next time, darling. And until then, unpleasant dreams.